All right, how are you doing? He's hoping that all is well with you. Not so good for some of us right here as far as matters coronavirus is concerned, but what do we do? I was actually in a cab this evening and I was speaking to one of the drivers, and one of the things that is actually alarming is the lack of information or awareness on this particular virus, and most of them really are not aware that this thing is just about also making sure that you are as informed as possible, and therefore we will try as a media house to practice good journalism to actually inform you on what you need to do. Among those issues include staying away from crowded areas, but of course most importantly exercising hygiene. It's very, very important. Hello there, welcome to this particular edition of Youth Connect. My name as always is Eugene Anangwe. Definitely the world is actually somehow trying to look into how they'll deal with this particular issue. Major announcements have been made by President Uhuru Kenyatta, among them the closure of schools, and of course we're hoping that things will just go well. Now tonight that's not what we'll be talking about, but maybe along the way we'll be able to talk a bit about it, because we're talking about online and fraud has to still do with matters fake. And so probably we'll touch a bit on how online can be used to raise awareness on coronavirus, and how can we be able to ensure that we are not consuming fake news on this particular issue. Now, we'll be talking about the issue of youth and online jobs fraud. And of course, there are so many of us who've gone through this, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and of course your experiences and how you really went through these particular ordeals. Remember, Youth Connect is also about connecting you to opportunities. We have your favorite segment, which is called Jobs Corner, which will be definitely throwing your way later on in the program. But also remember, we'll also be talking to some of you who we actually met in the streets on issues to do with Jobless Corner. We'll be hearing what opportunities lie ahead for them. So let me introduce my panelists in the program today. We have none other than Christine Boke, who's actually a lawyer, a very good friend of mine. Actually, let me put a disclaimer on this. Went to, you were a sister school.
In high school.
And in high school, Butere girls and Butere boys.
Yes.
And it's really amazing to see you doing so well as a lawyer out there. Thank you so much for joining us on this particular program. You'll be sharing with us what we need to look into as young people before we get ourselves into these kinds of traps. Also with us is Jacqueline Murioki. You're actually one of the victims among so many who are watching us tonight.
Very true.
But also you are the director of the Sprout Initiative.
Yep.
We were expecting to have Joram Wanyeki, who's with Penda Health, but of course looking at what is going on in the country, he's not been able to come through. He's actually one of those who are looking or working around the clock in the country to work out a strategy on managing the coronavirus. But let's start right away. Jackie, maybe you can start with telling us, how did it even happen? Because several people have different stories to tell on this online fraud. How did it happen to you? Let's start there.
So first of all, I'm a graduate of economics and statistics from Chuka University.
Yeah.
And one of the most exciting thing, or rather what I was looking forward as far as job is concerned, is to become a data analyst stroke a researcher. Mm-hmm. At least that is one thing that excited me in school. Yeah. So last year around August, I streamed in my LinkedIn and I had a message. So on my LinkedIn profile, I had indicated that I wanted like a job in research and things like those. Mm. So this lady, she was my connection, told me that actually she has a friend who would offer a job with that regard. So what was going on at that particular time in mind was that LinkedIn, as far as I am concerned, is very credible. Yes. So I took the contacts. I contacted those people. Apparently they were coming from the Crown Paints, and so they told me they will get back to me. So after some hours, it was one gentleman. After some hours, they had actually given me an email. So after sending that email, after some hours they replied and they told me, now do you have the chapter 6 of the constitution documents, things like CRB, ESCC clearance, help clearance, we have the KRA clearance, something. And so I told them that mine were expired, which was very true. I was very honest about it, but I don't know how I will get help from that. So they told me, actually this role is very urgent and we need the documents urgently.
Immediately.
Yes. Yeah. And so there is that adrenaline rush.
So now you're like, how do I get these things really fast? Yes.
So I told them, honestly, I don't have those documents right now and I don't know how to get them. So I don't know whether the previous ones will work or what I should do. I stand guided by you people.
They are writing to you via LinkedIn?
No, it's not
you
LinkedIn.
You met the person?
I never met the person.
So they were just writing to you through which platform?
Actually, they called me later.
Okay.
They called me. So, we had that discussion at first. I remember I was in a youth pre-conference on education at what is it called? Offices, some offices somewhere along Thika Road. So they told me, actually we have our person at Huduma Center, at DPO. We will connect you with that person, and then afterwards they will help you to get those documents, and then we will get you the job. So they sent me, actually one thing they used to sort of blind me, they sent me some sort of not even a JD. It was an invitation for an interview prior to that, and even it had indicated the salary, an whopping 93,000.
93,000.
And I was like, my problems are
done.
Yes. And so I looked, I knew I was qualified. This is all I had wanted and things like those. So after some time, they started now telling me, after they connected me with that gentleman, so they told me, how fast are you to get to DPO, because we need some few things here and there. So after now giving me the contacts of the gentleman allegedly supposed to be at DPO, Huduma Center, I contacted that gentleman. That gentleman told me, you need to be, I thought actually, they were acting so legit. They told me, I thought you were in the line. You have that ticket. Where are you? I was very honest to tell them I'm not even around. I'm somewhere at KICD offices. So I'll be coming in the next, 30 minutes or so. So after that, I alighted at stage. They called me. Then they told me, are you still getting to that gentleman? I told them, yes, please call him. So I called them. No, I called that gentleman. That gentleman told me, no, actually they had forgotten to tell you, I'm not at DPO, I'm at Makadara, Huduma Center Makadara.
So you have to again now move there?
Yes, they told me you have to move to Makadara. And then I told them, and it's required in the next, it was around 11. They told me we have a meeting urgently at 12, so you're supposed to have submitted those documents or else we won't be able to.
And that time it was Sangapi?
It was around 11.
Yeah.
11.
So you're rushing to beat the deadline?
I'm rushing to beat the deadline because, that is a job, 93,000. So I called that gentleman. I told him, I don't know how possible it is to actually have them virtually processed. No, actually they are the ones who suggested, call the gentleman and let you people organize on how to have them processed and have everything without your physical presence. So they started asking me, that gentleman asked me, what is your stature with KRA? Because that is the first thing we need to have now that you cannot get to Makadara. So I told them I've been remitting my taxes and things like those. So they asked a few details and I have my KRA clearance. So after that now, where the money came in is when now they are telling me CRB is supposed to be this amount of money and ESCC is supposed to be this amount of money. There was good conduct is supposed to be this amount of money. And good thing with them, they were very smart because I had processed the documents an year earlier. So at least I had a clue of how much. And they didn't confuse me on those.
Yeah, so they gave the exact amount.
The exact amount.
Yes.
But now I think where where now the whole fraud came in was now telling me, you know what, to have the EACC, it has to be stamped by a lawyer or somewhat advocate. So you have to give around, was it 3,000, something like that. So like the whole amount of money I had to give them was around 9,000, close to 9,000. But I was telling myself, due to urgency, because they were explaining like, you know, we have to rush this thing, you know, we don't get to access these people easily. So we have to rush it to Kilimani, we have to pay the person who gets there. So yeah, I get
And also
them.
in your mind, you're saying 8,000 and you're going to get 90,000. So
I was like, that is
peanuts. Yes.
So that was I think on Thursday, was it Thursday or Friday somewhat, and so they gave me an offer for they were telling me like, you have an interview on Saturday in the morning. So after I had gone back, by the way, I knew everything was settled. I mean, I have all the documents. I even forwarded them those documents. They were telling me, okay, fine, like you've given us even the CV, it's quite impressive. You've done like several statistical analysis softwares. You know, those are key in my course, and especially somebody who wants to get into data analysis. And that's quite impressive. So, by the way, one thing I didn't tell you, you know, the email that they used to give those documents was something info.huduma. So there is nothing that could even signal you this is fraud.
This is legit. I mean,
yes.
it's fraud.
Yes, there is nothing that could signal me. So I went back home. Now the problem, when I started noting like something is amiss, they called me, it was on a Friday now, the following day, they called me and told me, you know, tomorrow we just want to prepare you, like, for the interview. Tomorrow it will be a panelist interview, and you will be having seven interviewers, and then we only have 2 from in-house. The rest are actually, for credibility purposes, the rest are outside people. And so we really want you, like, you look so smart, a girl, like, we really want you in this job, but we are not quite sure how you rate from the outsider's point of view. So what you do, you should at least give some little chai to these people, so that at least from our very end, they can favor you. I told them I'm a person who is value based. I told them I'm an integral person. Integrity is a key aspect of me, and I want to take stakes in this. Like, I want to present myself without having to do all that. They started asking me, are you sure of what you're doing? Like, you're just throwing a job away. I told them, yes, I'm very sure. Like, if I have to compromise my integrity, then let the job stay. So after that, they told me, okay, stay for some minutes, we'll call you later. After some few minutes, they called me back. They told me, are you sure of what you're saying? Like, you don't
change your mind over?
Yes. Have you changed my mind? Because you're just actually watching a job
go away.
Over.
Yes.
I told them, no, I'm not giving anything. Like, if it's an interview, I am presenting myself tomorrow. If I have to give anything, let the job stay. So they told me they will communicate. Guess what? After, I think, an hour, my email, the interview has been postponed. That is when I started questioning everything now.
And you'd already paid initially the other monies to process your documents.
To process. That is when now I started, you know, at that particular time, the person I was conversing with, the previous day actually, when I was trying to process these documents and things like, because I remember even that money I had to borrow, and I was like, 93, I will give you back. Don't worry. You know, I was so broke. And I was calling my mentor, and my mentor told me, you know, I've always trusted you. I know you're very smart, you cannot be frauded, but this time around.
Christine, listening to this story, I mean, we have many young people out there, not just young people, even old people who are being, you know, conned online. They are told, do this, do that, just like Jackie's story. Take me through the kind of cases you've received in terms of, you know, going to defend or actually going to tetea such people who probably now have gotten to the point where they're saying, this one tunapelekana kotini.
I won't lie, I don't have much experience with such cases in terms of handling it as a lawyer, but I am aware of cases that happened like that. But I think the first thing that for me comes to my mind is when such things happening is we do not understand the recruitment process of companies, you know, and especially if it's a company that is a legitimate company, it's not it's a corporate. It's not a one-man show or a kiosk, as we call in our field. There's a process to selection, recruitment and selection. I think that's what people fail to understand.
But you see, Jackie says she was told there's a panel of 7. When you're told that there's a panel, you'd think this is a legit company. She says even the emails, the corresponding emails had the dot, the company. It was not even Gmail or Yahoo, So how do you realize, or how do you notice that this one is not legit, this is legit? I mean, from a legal perspective, what do we look at?
The first red flag is obviously urgency. Okay. Like I said, for corporates, they have a policy to hiring and recruitment. So they don't just wake up one day and decide, we need someone tomorrow morning. There is a process to which they hire. So they would, for instance, set themselves and say in the next 1 month, we are recruiting for this position. They know a position is opening up and they want to recruit for it. So they hardly do anything with a sense of urgency. So when you receive a call and told we need someone and we need someone tomorrow, that is the first flag. That's the first red flag that tells you, look, things here may not be so clear. And then when they go ahead to actually offer to process documents for you, that's another red flag. I mean, especially these are documents which KRA clearance, EACC clearance, CRB clearance. These are not documents you get in a day. These are documents that could take a while. And furthermore, these are documents that may not necessarily be required before the interview. They would tell you, okay, come the interview, do a selection. Once they've shortlisted a number of people, then they say, okay, now for those ones, start bringing these documents. On their part, on your part, they're allowing you time to be able to procure these documents because they understand these are not documents that are obtained in a day. So that's another red flag that, there's a sense of urgency. They are even offering to go ahead and process these documents for you. That's another red flag. I mean, if it's too good, if it's sounding too good to be true,
there's a problem.
It probably is.
But we have so many young people who are actually unemployed. They have really been hustling. They've really been trying left, right, and center, inboxed several people, DM'd other people just to connect them to opportunities. Do you think it would be easy for them to even have the patience of seeing these red flags? Because at the end of the day, they might see this as this person is just trying to help me. Probably it's a gentleman and you're a lady, and probably just saying maybe he's just liked me and he's just being innocent and he just wants to help me get this particular job. How do you determine that, amidst this level of desperation of young people to get employment, how do you become so keen and thorough that you're able to notice those red flags that Christine is mentioning? Jackie?
First of all, let me say, sometimes, you see, frustrations can take you to an extent where you don't even know, rather you don't even notice whether these are red flags. To start with, you see, for them coming from info.huduma, that is a total confirmation, and maybe something that she said, I think one of the things that I wasn't keen about, because even the email that I was given, it wasn't Crown Paints or something. That is when now later I come to realize that actually this is a Gmail and it's not supposed to be so.
It's a little too late.
And it's a little too late. And at that particular time, I needed a job. I really needed a job. And to imagine that they are giving me, there is this thing about if you get out there, just land on whichever end, you'll be okay, good to go as a start. But then they're giving me something like data analyst. I'm like, fine, I'm doing numbers. I love numbers. So anything that comes by, I would feel like, good, we are cool to know. So sometimes I think the position that a person is at that particular time, for example, if you there is that desperation, there is that frustration. Sometimes you're even too blind to see these red flags.
Kristen, I mean,
it's understandable. If you stayed too long without a job, or you've been, so to say, tarmacking for a long while, you'd be desperate to a point of,
taking anything
that comes up.
Yes.
And that is understandable. But the thing is this, and especially I said, for her case, it's a bit more obvious because it was a known company. Sometimes they'd call you and say, we are calling from company so-and-so.
Which you've never heard of.
Company so-and-so you don't even know of.
Yes.
But I think even amidst that desperation, it would take a second to just look up this company on the internet. First thing, even at our position, I don't know all the law firms in Kenya. So for instance, if I get a job, get a call from a certain law firm, the first thing I do is look up this law firm. Just basic internet search, you know. So if it's a company that is well known, like, you know, Crown Prince, or it's a corporate, you know, and especially if they're offering such amounts, they wouldn't just make a decision to hire you that, you know. So the first second is just a quick desktop search, you know, what is this company? The other thing is, and which you've mentioned, is internet domains. So what they'll do is, for instance, I'll just open up an internet domain of tv47.ir. You know, such things. Now the good thing about such quick searches, if you're able to verify, and what you're looking at is the domain. So it can be a .com, and you have to realize that's a different from a .co.ke. That's a different from a .ir. That's, you know, it's a different from a .org. Because anyone, whatever company you can think of, even if it's a huge company, anyone can form a domain and use their names in that. So it's very key to look at the last details of the domain. Is it .com? Is it .org? Is it .co.ke? Such things would give you an indication whether or not
this is legit or not.
Such a domain is legit.
Yeah, but then at the end of the day, because not so many people, or probably what you're trying to tell us, Christian, is that we should not use our desperation as young people, because we are desperate, we're looking for this job, to be in a point where we are able to say that that's an excuse for us not to going the extra mile to doing due diligence. Is this what you're trying to say?
Yes, and especially when it calls for you to spend money. Okay, so it could have been just a legitimate business, but then again, there's some desperate, someone maybe is probably away or ill, they need someone to urgently fill in. But again, the other red flag is things like, when they're asking you to actually spend money, they're asking you to pay money for this, and it can be as small as 1,000 shillings. Pay money for this. Even before we get to a point where I'm told, pay money to the panel, you know. Even if it's just pay money for small services, those are things that should now make you just pay more attention.
But then tumezoea, watu watasema we are used to this kachai, and so they'll just say this might be just one of those other deals that I need to do a chai. So how do you also just differentiate and just say, no, you know, I don't have to pay the chai because this looks like it is something that is not legit at all?
I think the point where that is being sought, at the point where someone mentions you have to pay this, you have to pay this, that is the first point where your antenna should go up. You know, the moment you're asked you have to pay something, you should quickly just think, okay, fine, I may have to pay something, but then let me take a bit more interest in this. And I say those are just the red flags. The red flags may not necessarily mean it's not a good deal. It just make you think, okay, I need to be more careful with this.
Before making that decision.
And like she said, she ended up, you know, borrowing money, taking loans for such things. So those are huge undertakings. So before you take such undertaking, you know, you just need to be careful. Sure.
Perfect. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we'll dig a bit more just to find out how difficult or how easy it was for you to repay that particular loan that you had taken. But of course, I want us to have a look at one of the stories that was done by one of our teams at the Sauti Yetu team. She's actually usually behind the cameras, but this time around she said she wants to come in front of the camera and be able to actually do this piece. She tells a story concerning one lady who actually got conned. And as we said earlier in the program, it is not just young people who are being conned, it is also those of old age. Let's take a look at this story and we'll come back later on.
I'm Irene Janet. I've actually been doing the videos for the Sauti Yetu team, but today I'm the reporter. One Friday morning, as Mercy was doing her normal chores, she got a message on her phone telling her she has won 10,000 shillings. She was so happy, not knowing that this was going to ruin her day. And this is her story.
Nikaamka vizuri, nikaanza kazi yangu ya kawaida. Mtoto ameenda shule, nimefurahia, naendelea shughuli ya siku. Kama naendelea shughuli ya siku, nilikuwa naosha vyombo nje. Nikasikia message kwa simu yangu. Nikaingia ndani ya nyumba, nikapata message inaniambia ya Safaricom nimereceive 10,000. Kuangalia nikasema nani amenitumia hii 10,000 na simjui, namba sijui na sina mtu anaweza nitumia hii 10,000. Nikasema kama ni mtu amenitumia wrong number nitamrudishia. Kama ni mtu amenipea ni sawa. Nikafurahia, nikarudi, nikaendelea shughuli ya kuoza vyombo. Kama naendelea kidogo, nikasikia simu ikilia. Nikaingia ndani ya nyumba, nikareceive hiyo simu. Wakaniuliza, wewe ni Masi? Nikaambia umereceive 10,000? Nikaambia unachua ID yako ya kitambulisho, namba yako ya kitambulisho? Nikaambia wakaniambia sasa umepata promotion ya 10,000. Nikafurahia. Wakaniambia unaweza tutumia hiyo ID namba yako? Nikaambia ni sawa. Nikachukua ID namba, nikawasomea. Sasa nikaendelea kufanya kazi yangu, na kwa hiyo simu yangu nilikuwa na 3,000.
At 4, she decided to pick her baby from school, and on her way back, she passed by an M-Pesa shop.
Kasema acha niangalie pesa nione ni balance sasa itakuwa 13,000. Kwenda kuangalia naona iniambii pesa no balance. Nikastuka nikaenda paka kwa mtu wa M-Pesa ako karibu na mimi. Nikamwambia kuna mtu alinitumia 10,000 na akaniambia ni promotion nimewin, na akaniitisha ID yangu ya kitambulisho nikampea, akasema hiyo pesa ni sako. Sasa nikienda kwa M-Pesa yangu na nilikuwa na 3,000 ndani, napata inaniambia 0. Sasa nimekuwa nikisanga. M-Pesa akachukua simu akaangalia, akasema yenyewe hakuna pesa. Akaniambia wewe ujui kuna watu wanakoni watu? Mimi nikamwambia sijiona, sijaisikia. Akaniambia pesa hapa hakuna. Nikamwambia hebu niangalie vizuri. Akaangalia vizuri. Akaniambia, nikamwambia hata niko na mali nachukuanga karoni, najisaidia niangalie pia kama sikupande hiyo. Akafungua na kuanga na KCB. Kufungua akasema hakuna kitu, na naona KCA inakuletea message ati umekopa ati 5,000. Mimi nikamwambia sijakopa, nilikuwa nimelipa, nataka kukopa. Akasema watu ni wakora, hata hii basi wamekuipia hapo, wamekukoni pia sote.
Many people just like Mercy are scammed in different ways. My take is to urge all Kenyans to be more careful when dealing with money. My name is Irene Janet.
Uandishi wa habari uliokwenda darasani na kufuzu vyema umetua rasmi. Lengo lake kuu ni kufahamisha jamii kwa taarifa ya kina kupitia upeo wa TV47 unaotua kwa safari yenye hatua mpya na muonekano wa hali ya juu. Kila Jumatatu saa 1 jioni, Clifford Ndubi na Andrin Kilemi wanaibuka kwa taarifa stadi. Andrin Kilemi atarejea tena Jumanne saa 1 jioni kwa ukurasa mwingine wa habari. Siku ya Jumatano, Salome Muiruri ndiye atakayepasua mbarika ya habari, na miale ya jua itakapotua magharibi. Siku ya Alhamisi, Emmanuel Terer na Liz Mutuku watatua usukani wa upeo. Mnamo Ijumaa, Paul Kirobi na Fiona Kenga watadadavua habari kwa njia ya aina yake. Jumamosi haujasazwa, nahodha wako Corazon Safen atahakikisha meli haikwendi mvange. Josh Onsare ndiye atakayevalia njuga taarifa. Siku ya Jumapili ni ya kubwa, ikiwa kufunga wiki kwa mpigo. TV47, nyumbani mwa taarifa nadra zisizopakuliwa kwingine.
Hey, Sospitason, tumefutwa wote.
Yawa, pia wewe?
Tumeachiliwa.
Si pia wewe unaweza anzisha biashara yako?
Na hii economy venye iko tough sana.
But not too tough for Mwananchi Credit.
Tutafanya aje?
Si niko na 5 good cars. We can get a quick logbook loan approved within 6 hours.
Nataka kuanzisha salon na spa. Hii haitatosa.
Si tuko na title deeds pia. We can still get more money using them. Get a quick approval within 6 hours using your logbook or title deed. Do not get stuck. Call Mwananchi Credit today. Si nilikuambia.
You are a big smart joke.
Mwananchi Credit, investor in people.
Siasa ni sawa na usiku wa giza. Usiku uliojaa siri, hila na karata.
I have got money.
Na nitajaribu.
Na inahitaji ujasiri kuupenya.
Tunapiga mdomo sana, lakini hakuna kitu kigeni.
Mimi wewe niambia nikatae kwenda kukamua ng'ombe maziwa yangu, nipeleka niende kwa Mombasa. No, wanakuja Mombasa ni wanajiweza.
Wacha nicheke kwa sababu nafikiri kwa sababu ya hizo nguo wanavaa wanaona Wakenya wengine ni wajinga.
You cannot have your cake and eat it.
Na wakati wa Ruto kuumia kutokana na maoni sasa.
Baraza la siasa limejituma kutia mwangaza kwenye giza hili.
Ungana nami Salome Mwiruri kila Alhamisi saa 2 jioni. Kutoka maeneo mbalimbali nchini tunatamba,
na pia ni kuone ukiogelea kidogo tu.
Kuogelea,
tunasaka, tunazungumza.
I have ridden to school using my father's bicycle.
Ili mradi kukufahamisha wewe katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi.
Nina balance. Uzuri ni kwamba mke wangu pia anafanya kazi. Usinipite Mwokozi, unisikie.
Katika ari na ukakamavu tunawapata. Tunaangazia viongozi waliokuwepo na waliopo kutoka kaunti zote 47 pasi kubagua wala kuchagua. Ungana nami Elizabeth Mtuku kila siku ya Jumatano saa 2 kamili katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi.
Back. Thank you so much for still being with us. This is Youth Connect. My name is Eugene Andangwe. Our sign language interpreter is none other than Josephine Oko. Now, we are talking about the issue of online fraud, and of course this is actually something that is touching across the board, young people, old people alike. But of course we want to hear from you. What has been your experience? Share with us and use the hashtag Youth Connect. We'll definitely be able to sample those particular tweets as they come through. Also, we cannot be blind to the fact that there is new directives as far as the issue of coronavirus is concerned. So throughout the program, we can also be touching base on this particular issue. What are your thoughts concerning the latest developments as far as coronavirus is concerned in this particular country? How do we keep safe, especially also from fake news, because fraud is none other than something else that is related with fake issues. But let's read some of the tweets that have come through so far. We have Alfonso, who's actually is having a conversation right here, and he says, yeah, but never an online job. This definitely is something that they've been able to, they were talking about right here. Mukami Mukamo is actually asking, have you ever been conned in search for a job? Watch us live and tell us how others can avoid that now. Thank you so much for actually spreading the word on that particular issue. We have also another one here that actually has come from Mkenya Mkenya Mchinku Alphonse anasema mimi siwezi taka kupoteza hard-earned money. This, I think they're talking about the issue of how it actually even happens. And what some of the words they use is, are you ready to earn 3,000 Kenya shillings weekly? That's how they con people online. In fact, I am a victim. Kentos would love to hear your story on this particular issue. Talk to us, let us know, and how you actually ended up dealing with that particular issue. Keep tweeting. We'll definitely be able to sample those tweets as we move along, because I'm also seeing right here one of the trends is actually stay home, and we'll be talking a bit about that right here on the program. Let me join my panelists one more time. We have Christine Boke, who's actually an advocate, and Jackie, who's one of the victims of online fraud. Now, before we went for the break, we were looking at the red flags. We also had the story from our reporter Irene, who actually mentions that this lady also got conned, and it mostly even happens through the mobile phone. It's not just a matter of online per se, but also through their documents. But before we get to the question I wanted to ask, I hear there's someone on the phone, Sonido. Sonido, if you can hear us, talk to us. Hello, Sonido? All right, I can't seem to hear him. Maybe we need to boost the volume for this.
Hello.
Yes, you can hear us.
Yes.
Yeah, so go ahead, join the conversation. Tell us, what is your experience? Have you been conned before? Do you know someone who's been conned? How do you deal with this?
I've just shared with someone.
Yes. Yes, hello? Can you hear us?
Okay, I'm a referee. Of course, I'm a mentor to several young people.
Yes.
And this conversation is actually very ideal at this hour, this juncture, when young people are seeking jobs. So you recommend somebody on their CV. And then you realize that the referees on their CV.
Sonido, your network is a bit rough. Could we try and call again just to see if it will be better? Yeah. But thank you so much for calling. We're looking forward to receiving you again. Thank you so much for calling. Of course, I think he mentions that it's a very timely conversation because young people are actually falling prey to this. Christine, you had mentioned earlier the red flags that we need to look at, but some people are looking at us and saying maybe it is easier said than done. They feel like it is easy to mention those red flags, but look at the desperation. I want this job. This person is offering to help me. I live in a society where I know I have to give out kitu kidogo for me to get this. So how do I even decide that I'm not going to help this person? How do you challenge such people with such thoughts?
Okay, like I said, the question is not even really about giving money to be able to get something. Like I said, what they would do is, first of all, just before you get to the point of money, just being able to analyze that this person is credible. And I said her case is different because it's a company that was well known, so you're able to just verify this information. But this is one thing I'd like to caution. I mean, I know we are desperate. Any opportunity to make money, we'd want to take it. But then the question is, at what cost? Really, at what cost? Do we look at it as a gamble? That am I willing to gamble 1,000 for maybe getting much more? Or is it, what does that 1,000 mean to you at that point? And it's hard. I do understand that it's hard. I do consider much. It's very hard to just be in that situation. You're desperate for a job and you want to. But then again, I think the one thing we need to try, and I want to say this without being insensitive or ignorant of what the situation is right now, is that sometimes, again, when the deal is too good, I think that's where they would catch you. When the deal is too good, because like I was explaining to Jackie during the break, if it's a job where you're likely to make 10,000 shillings per month, vis-a-vis a job you're likely to make 100,000 shillings a month, okay? The 10,000 shillings might be willing to gamble and say, okay, maybe if I get it, I mean, it's 10,000. If I lose it, again, it's 10,000. But when someone mentioning insane amounts like 90,000, 100,000, those amounts that no company just gives such a job without budgeting for it. So that's a job that is ideally planned for, budgeted for. There are much more requirements made to certain kind of job.
But do you think we give out too much on our social media platforms? Because someone would be saying that maybe this person had so much of your information to a point whereby they know you in and out. They know what even your career is or your career path is. What do you think sold you off in the sense of putting you into their hands so that they were able to manipulate you the way they did?
Good question, and I think this is where the issue about cybersecurity comes in.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned earlier that I got it from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
For anybody who is listening, like anybody who has been hearing about LinkedIn, they know it's a credible place for it's a professional site. Yeah. And this lady who I have been conversing with, rather the person who connected me with these people, was somebody I have been conversing with, and she knew that I was open for a job opportunity, especially in that specific role. So I couldn't have really imagined that it would have come to that extent, especially by the fact that it wasn't an instant thing. Immediately I told that lady, immediately I told her I need a job, and then she told me, there is this. It had taken quite a while. Yeah. And again, there is the LinkedIn profile. Like these people, I think, when you get to LinkedIn, you've already listed, your qualifications, things like those. So I think it narrows down to
how much information
you've given. They know you. Okay. At the same time, I think it's also important to note that there is quite a lot of information that people do not know. Yeah. Like right now, it's when I'm hearing there are some things that I need to look at, especially when it comes to red flag. Yeah. Something else I need to tell you, maybe to clarify. The money that I gave had nothing to do with Kitu Kidogo. It's now when they had asked me to give the Kitu Kidogo that I refused. Yeah. But the amount that you're required to give, or rather to the charges for having those Chapter 6 documents, they were giving the exact ones.
Yeah. So it's like they knew where to get you.
Exactly.
I'm told Solido is back on the line. Solido, if you can hear us.
Hello.
Yes, thank you for calling back. Yes.
Okay, I had mentioned earlier on a good choice of topic because we've had such cases.
Yes.
And most of the time are not reported. Young people are suffering, con money right from right center and so forth. But this big, I was called into the office. I'm a postgraduate student. So some people call, I say they work for a particular bank, they're looking for customer executives. They told me, would you have 5 people you can recommend quickly from the list of my mentors I recommended, and even the people I knew they qualified. Then the syndicate started when now the people who are referenced on the CV that was submitted started being contacted, or send this amount of money, would receive the CV of somebody who has made reference to one of their referees. It was a storm. I had to check with the DCI and record this number, but I think they're using quite a number of phone numbers, a number of Kenyans. This is very sad. Very sad. Stealing from desperate Kenyans who are looking for opportunities to, of course, serve the great community that they have been, the community that has mentored them.
Yeah.
So if they are, maybe let's say, if they are bigger brothers or those who have graduated, they need to think otherwise, because it's a curse they are putting across. Because you can't steal from a young Kenyan.
But they're doing it. So they're doing it because
lamenting, I sent my CV, now I'm being requested for money, and so forth. It's not good. State of affairs.
It's very unfortunate, but they're doing it, yeah? But what I would want to understand from you is, why do you think young people, more of them, are still falling into this trap of online fraud?
You see, my main worry is these guys, as my sister mentioned, they are very genuine. Because if a job advert was put across, they even give you a link to submit the CV. But you see, on the CV, they don't contact the applicants direct. They contact the referees on the CV.
Yeah. So what do we do about this? How do we deal with this?
Now, I think mentorship and the right, of course, when, as my sister was mentioning, if there is a job opening, check with the domain. And in case 2-3 people have been called, that number needs to be submitted to the CI or criminal investigation so that to cap these cases of those who are online threat.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Blessed evening, but nice choice of topic. Very timely presented.
Thank you very much. Kristen, if Jackie wanted to go to court or to sue for whatever she went through, let's assume that it just happened to her. Today she's found out that she was conned, it was not even legitimate, she spent 9,000 and it has all gone to the wind. Is there any provision that she can use to be able to bring these people to justice?
Ideally, yes. You see, it's fraud, so of course there are certain provisions, legal provisions on fraud and protections for such criminal proceedings, civil proceedings. But the problem with even Jackie's case is she's dealing with a faceless person.
Yeah.
She never met these people.
Yeah.
She has no name.
So she'll have no case.
Not necessarily. It's just a question of who do you even sue first? Okay, you can't sue the company because they're not the ones who gave you this.
Yes.
So who do you sue? The person who asked you to send money? But who is it that asked you to send money? You know. But if it's something that was either sent by M-Pesa or a way you can track who it is, then yes, there is a case. For such people, I think what they're doing is they're taking more steps to ensure that one, anonymity remains. So all along you're just having conversations on phone. You're never actually getting to meet these people. You don't know who you deal. You don't know the names of the people you're dealing with. So it's that much harder. It's not a question of whether or not you have a case. It's a question of now how do you get these people to be able to bring them to account? Maybe use numbers to track these names. But again, we know what happens with the multiple SIM cards, guys. People are registering and all that. So it's really a faceless enemy you're trying to, and the question is bringing them to book is that much harder because you don't even know who you're dealing with in the first place. Does she go to the person who referred? It could have been an honest referral. You don't know that these people are actually fraudulent. Is it the person you sent the money to? Again, the other thing I would recommend is sometimes it's better to use actually mobile money because you're able to track who this money goes to. You know, you're able to. There's a paper trail.
Nani atachukua chai kwa mobile money? They'll not take the chai through M-Pesa.
Like you said, the first money was not even an issue of bribe. It was just an issue of money to facilitate the acquisition of the documents. Okay, so that's easy for you to be able to tell who exactly am I dealing with. Is it Eugene? Is it TV47? Is it a ghost? So yeah, there could be a case. The question is against who? Who
do you actually challenge? Jackie, I mean, looking back at what you went through in that particular sense, where do you draw the line and say that actually this is where I messed, and today, once bitten, twice shy, I cannot fall into the same trap again, other than just looking at the domain that you said you wish you had checked first?
I think I'll reiterate what she said. If the deal is too good, think twice. Not even twice. Think 10 times, please, by all means. Because 93,000 is an open good cash to just give away in the name of urgency. And trying to look at it back almost 1 year down the line, I'm like, there are some few things that I would have really, because I looked at the difference between the EACC document they gave me and the document that I had previously that was expired, and
they're not the same.
They're not the same. That is the only thing. That was the only thing that tried sort of made me like have those ish. But then, like I would just say, sometimes go to the website. And validate all those things. Again, I don't know whether I'm confident about LinkedIn anymore because, you know, getting it from LinkedIn, but maybe she can be in a better position to tell us now that, you know, we are being advised every other day, like go to LinkedIn, find somebody who has been working there. Maybe they can be able to tell you how if there is such a vacancy or there is nothing like that. But yeah, there are some few measures that somebody could take, but most importantly, go to their website. There is a career, especially for my case where this is a corporate that is there, that is known. Go to their career website and then just have to check. Confirm whether there is something like that. But it also makes me wonder, because prior to that, somebody had told me, like, sometimes, Jackie, these opportunities are not taken to the website because sometimes somebody just quit urgently and it's an urgent position, you know, and they have to really replace quickly. So like sometimes there is that information gap that is there that we really do not know, and especially for a person who is looking for a job out there, you don't know what to follow, you don't know like what information should be guiding you exactly. So it's really something that I cannot really say, even as I stand right now, that I know full information on how to go about this.
Yes. Christine, are we as young people stuck between a hard place and Rock, because you hear what she says. I mean, because there's various information and all of this is coming real fast. You're also trying to convince yourself that I'm doing the right thing. There's nothing wrong with this thing that I'm doing, because my friend says probably they want to replace real quick. If they posted it on their website, maybe they'll have a flood of so many applications, but they just want to do it quickly. Do you think we are between a hard place and a rock as young people? But as you come to answer, let me bring in Brian. Probably Brian can be able to help us also just digest it. Brian from Nairobi, thank you so much for calling us. If you can hear us, karibu kwenye mjadala. Talk to us. Brian, if you can hear me.
Oh yeah, hello.
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to changia from the topic.
Yes.
Actually, I've also fallen a victim.
You were conned.
I was conned.
Tell us a bit about it. How did it go? How did it happen?
And it was this issue of I've sent you certain money and please kindly send it back to me.
Mm-hmm. Brian, we seem to be losing you. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Brian.
Oh yeah, I was saying.
Try to reduce the volume of your TV because there is a delay, and so if you listen to the TV, you will take some time to hear my voice. All right, thank you so much, Brian. When you call, kindly reduce the volume of your TV so that we're able to get to hear each other. But call us back. We're happy to hear your story and how you dealt with it. Christian, back to you on the issue of being stuck between a hard place and a rock as young people. Information, we're being told maybe this thing is legit, and you also even trying to convince yourself that this is legit. I know people have been conned before, but not me. Only for you to find out later that you are actually falling into this trap. Where is the solution? Because for me, I want to just understand, how do we get to understand and beat that fraudulent person who's trying to get into us? They know that this job actually pays this kind of money, and they probably even mention that, and you'll be able to research around and hear that indeed this job, this is the money that I'm supposed to be paid. It might look good, but it is what I'm supposed to be paid. How do I know that it is not true?
Okay. Like you've said, is it being caught between a rock and a hard place? Probably, yes. But the advantage you have this generation is access to information. She spoke about access to information. It's just a question of knowing where to find information, really. There's a lot of information out there. How do we get this information? Like I said, the first point is a basic internet search. You know, if you told company ABC is hiring, the basic internet, just even as you're preparing for the interview, you know, you want to know about this company, you want to know their operations, just familiarize yourself with it. And as you do this, you might just realize there are one or two things that are not adding up. So we have also an advantage of we can easily research. You know, it's not like the days where you had to go to a library to find information, or you had to call someone who knows someone to get this information. We can easily search, just an internet search, and you get a lot of this information. I think the question is more of what kind of information should I look for?
What kind of information should I look for?
Where should I find this information?
Right.
She had mentioned something about you being told sometimes it's a quick they need to they really need to quickly fill a position. And I asked myself this, and I asked others, I was asking the same question. How many people do you think they know who can do this job? I mean, do you really think you're the best to do this job? They probably have a number of people, probably people they've interviewed before in these positions, or people who've sent their CVs on these positions. Like I said, if it's a company, hiring is never a snap decision. It's never an urgent decision. If it is, they will fill it internally. But where they have to bring someone from outside, it's never a snap decision.
It is never.
So the first red flag is urgency. It doesn't matter what you're being told, oh, it's an urgent position, we need to quickly fill. It will take you 30 minutes to just look up this information before you. And if that job cannot wait for you to do a 30 minutes research, then it's probably not a good job.
Right.
It's probably not the right job.
We're about to go and take a look at Jobless Corner, but before we go there, Jackie, there are people who actually blame the youth and say that we really love shortcuts. We want quick fixes. And if someone says, you know, just do this and you make 3,000 Kenya shillings at a go, you want, you know, online jobs make 20K, you know, just sitting at home. I don't want us to look at that. I want to hear from you. Were you feeling like you were in that kind of a situation, or if you just wanted a quick fix because you're hearing that there's this over 90,000 Kenya shillings and you're saying this is it? You know, is this the truth? Is this how it is on the ground?
I actually don't think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, because if that was the case, remember I stopped giving money at the point where they wanted me to give chai. So if it was a thing about quick fix, I would have gone ahead to give them money for the chai they really needed. But look at it in this sense. I was telling myself, even because, well, in as much as fine, this is a job, they require these documents, even if it doesn't, you know, it doesn't amount to me getting the job, I still need those documents. So I was looking at it in that context. And even the money that I was giving was purely based on them processing that. The only information that I didn't know was the fact that now there is no company, now I'm hearing it from her, that there is no company that will go to those extra miles. But a thing about quick fixes, at least for me, I don't resonate with that. I don't resonate with that.
Okay, perfect. Now, your favorite segment on Youth Connect, and it is called Jobless Corner. But of course, what we do on this particular platform, if you're watching us for the very first time, we give you our networks. And of course, we understand you've tried to talk to your relatives, you've talked to your friends, telling them how much you really are desperate for this particular job, but probably their networks is this small. So we give you the TV47 network that is actually across the whole country and in Kigali, Rwanda, for you to market yourself and talk to your potential employer. They could be watching or they could be on our timeline. Take a look at today's edition of Jobless Corner.
Welcome once again. I am Okonyo Githenji, and this is Jobless Corner, where we try and connect the youth right here in our city with job opportunities. Let's get to it.
My name is Freeland Maura Dongo, and I have been assisting kids in mathematics for quite so long. As a freelancer, I am a freelancer in my field, and anyone who is in need to be helped or to be consulted in mathematics, I am a mathematics consultant. And I help high school and primary kids to maneuver in mathematics subject. We have helped so many others, so we can help you as well. We hold tuitions, those who are willing to retake KCP and KCSE, and even upgrading of exams. Nowadays we have those program of upgrading a particular or any subject that you would like. So I can give you procedure or help you how it can be done. For more information, I can leave my number with you, 0722450227. Especially those who have these kids in Form 3 and Form 4. Yeah, those are the ones who are in great problem. Please help that kids in mathematics. Mathematics is well known as a typical distinctive similar subject. It is the subject which form basis for any other subject. So I'm specifically positioned or specialized in mathematics for primary and high school. Even preschoolers, nowadays we have new education curriculum, CBC, competence-based curriculum. We have so many supportive materials for these kids. It is good to calculate from the grassroots when the kids are still at the early ages. So please seek advice and consultant. We have so many mathematics consult who you can consult, and I can refer you to one, even if it is not myself. So God bless you. I appreciate.
Kwa majina naitwa Lucy Msimbi. Nimesomea clearing and forwarding. Nimaliza mwaka wa 2015. Challenges zangu ni kupata kazi ni ngumu. Unapeleka tuseme barua mahali umeambiwa kuna kazi. Ukishapeleka barua unaambiwa utakuja siku fulani. Kwenda hiyo siku yenye unaambiwa, wanasema walishachukuana. Pia tena unaenda, tuseme kama ni interview, kuna wenye wanachuziwa specific. Unaweza pata labda kuna wenye uko ameshaambiwa barua zao ziko huko mbele, na ukishaenda na zako uchukuliwe. Wale wenye uko ameshapelekwa barua zao mbele ndio wanachukuliwa. Haya, challenge nyingine ni unaweza enda pia place nyingine, tuseme kama hiyo kazi ya cleaning and somea niliona sasa hakuna haja ya kwenda kutafuta hiyo kazi, nikaenda kutafuta kazi nyingine. Na hiyo kazi pia ukienda tena unaingia hivi, bado tena unapata tena challenges ni same. Wale wenye wanapatiwa ni wale wenye ni kujuana. Yaani hawakutambui wewe, wanatambua tuseme kama ni let's say it's like ni kikabila, kazi ni ya kikabila. Tuseme kama ni kabila ingine upatiwe hiyo kazi. Wale wenye ni kabila hiyo ndio wanapatiwa hiyo kazi. Namba yangu ya simu ni 0711 032 90. 0711 032 90.
Linalowapa vijana nafasi ya kuchangia kwa mada inayowaathiri.
Vijana tukishikana we can bring a revolution. Tunaweza geuza serikali sasa, lakini serikali yenyewe haiwezi kubali.
Tunazungumza kuhusu ajira, afya, uongozi, ukuzaji wa talanta pamoja na masuala ibuka katika jamii. Ni mazungumzo bora inayofungua mlango wa suluhisho kwa masuala tata miongoni mwa vijana. Ungana nami Paul Kirubi kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 12 hadi saa 1 jioni katika kipindi cha Vijana Mashinani. Wakati wetu ni sasa.
Jamii imezungukwa na mambo mengi sana.
Karibu tena mtazamaji, unaendelea kutazama kipindi cha Jamii na Itikadi.
Kutoka kwenye ndoa za mapema,
kuolewa is an option,
mila na desturi,
kuna nguo ya hapa sitting room na kuna nguo ya chumbani,
dini.
Wengi walipitia kwa many boyfriends, many girlfriends. Na hiyo ni ukahaba.
Maisha ndani ya ndoa.
Huoni vile atetema, yeye ndio yuapika, ushavyomba kuwa, hapa tusemezane ukweli.
Mazingira.
Kama mimi niko na watoto na sisi kizani na ndugu yangu. Watoto wangu wakiwa kwa umri mchanga sana. Ninaweza kuwa protect kidogo.
Watu wangapi wanafanya kazi pamoja, wakikutana ni maadui, hawazungumzi. Siku 2-3 haya huyu ana mimba, kwa nini alipatwa na malaika?
Bila kusahau tamaduni.
Sauti za kinanyanya za masogora kufundwa ni sauti 21.
Ungana nami Fiona Kenga kila siku ya Ijumaa saa 12 jioni hadi saa 1 ndani ya kipindi unachokienzi, Jamii na Itikadi. Nikupe uhondo.
Sospitason, tumefutwa wote.
Yawa, pia wewe?
Tumeachiliwa.
Si pia wewe unaweza anzisha biashara yako?
Na hii economy venye iko tough sana.
But not too tough for Mwananchi Credit.
Tutafanya aje?
Si niko na 5 good cars. We can get a quick logbook loan approved within 6 hours.
Nataka kuanzisha salon na spa. Hii haitatosa.
Si tuko na title deeds pay. We can still get more money using them. Get a quick approval within 6 hours using your logbook or title deed. Do not get stuck. Call Mwananchi Credit today. Si nilikuambia.
You are a big smart joke.
Mwananchi Credit. Investor in people.
It's about 3 minutes past the hour. Of course, you're watching Youth Connect with me, Eugene Anangwe. We're right here, and of course, we're talking to several young people who have actually gone through some of this particular conning process. But our sign language interpreter is none other than Josephine Uko. She's doing a great job. Let's take a look at the tweets that have been coming through right here. One from Henry_Keith, and he says, I have once been very close to falling victim to online fraud. I got a call from someone purporting to be a bank manager and representing the interest of a client. I was to apply for a tender in my professional line, and it was going to be a lucrative consultancy. He goes on and says, they had me on the hook and bait, but I survived the con by consulting a friend of mine who happened to have been approached by the same syndicate. Kenya is a man-eat-man society. This is what he says. If you look at this, he had to consult someone else, and he was lucky to find that the same person had also been approached by these same people. How many young people would be lucky to have such a person, Christine? Yeah.
They may not have the advantage of having such kinds of connections.
Yes.
But again, it's always good to just ask a friend.
Yes.
You know, if, for instance, you've been in school, you're a graduate, talk to your colleagues at school, find out, do you not have any information about this company? Or just talk to, you'd be surprised, the people who have information out there.
And they've gone through the same.
Or somebody who has gone through the same.
And they'll tell you, they also called me,
Yes.
and I don't think I trust those people.
Take a minute to just find out. Just call a friend or someone. Ask them.
Kenzo's SK_001, and he says, I was more than desperate of a job moreover. I trusted the lady who took me there. I think he's actually giving us a thread on how he actually actually went through the process of being conned. Let's take a look real quick at another one here from Mateva. KE Mateva says, some of these jobs pay only that you have to pay for someone to earn. I don't get it. You say some of these jobs pay only that you have to pay for someone to earn. Jackie, do you resonate? Does that resonate with you?
Not really. But
That some of these jobs pay, but you have to pay
in order to.
Yes.
Somehow, especially if you look at the way Kenya currently is like.
Yes.
Like I still don't get it why we have those Chapter 6 constitution. Maybe
Yes.
the lawyer is here, will explain.
Yes.
But still, the pay part of it, trying to decode that message,
Yes.
could be in terms of you have to pay to get those documents
Yes.
in order for you to get a job.
Right.
Otherwise, you won't be qualified.
Christine, is that the mantra now? Lipa ndio uweze kulipwa.
I think he was making reference to online jobs,
Yes.
probably the writing jobs or whatnot.
Yes.
Like I said, it's a tough balance. There is a bit where you actually have to know someone to get a few things done. But again, it's just taking that initiative to be a bit more vigilant
You be
with these
vigilant.
things. Yes.
Kentos comes and says, in 2015, a friend of mine introduced to another online job by the name Public Like. I was conned 1,200 shillings in the name of upgrading my account. Yeah, you need to upgrade your account, and one of the things you need to do is pay 1,200. That is definitely what he had to go through. Let's take a look at another one over here. There's a tweet I'd actually seen here, and it says, I know of people who have been scammed through online jobs. I know of some who really earned, but most of them have been scammed. Youths, acha tusake hustle. Just be creative na uanzishe kitu itakupea pesa ya kujisustain. Easier said than done, Jackie? Possible?
Yes,
Can we do it?
It's easier said than done. Well, I don't refute the fact that there are some people who can do it.
Yes.
But you see, when you tell a youth to anzisha something, where do they start? They do not have capital. Like you can hear from my story, even having those documents, I had to borrow money.
Yeah.
So like, there are some few challenges that comes with telling a person like just start something.
Yeah.
Maybe they could start if they're in that capability, but still there are some challenges that needs to be addressed. But I must say that it's very possible. I've reached to a point where I think it's a mindset kind of thing. I attended a conference somewhere, and they said that in as much as the youths nowadays are saying that what we really need is the capital, that is financial assistance. They say that the one thing that you really need to start something is actually the social capital. Like you as a person, how much are you willing to do this? Like for example, right now, well, besides now that there is the Sprout initiative that I co-founded. In as much as it's not a business really, but it was just something like, you know, just start it off the way you are. What can you be able to look at in your own dimension where you are that you can be able to use? You have the skills allegedly from the school you got, but how can you be able to leverage that with what we have nowadays in order for you to advance yourself forward? And that is where now I think the issue of education comes in, because we are so like cultured to believe we are getting out here to get jobs, rather than getting the knowledge, the skills out in school to come and maybe start something. We cannot.
So you want to say that you can start from where you are?
Yes.
Whatever you are and whatever you have, you can be able to
Very
make
true.
use of it.
Yes.
Okay. Kwa Chief Palita, Okoth_Okoth, says that the reason many youth are conned easily is because of desperation. And the desperation arises due to the wish to be financially stable. The conmen find this as the gap to entice them into such frauds. It's an unfair world, yeah? But do we just fold our arms and sit on a corner and cry about it, Christine?
No, not really. But I think the one thing that our generation needs to understand is that every good thing takes time. Every good thing takes time. I think the need for instant gratification is what is getting us into these situations. It just, you know, you live and you have these dreams and ideas of what I want to be, how much I want to earn at a certain point. And when you're not there, then you get to a point where you do anything to get there. But I think we need to go back to the drawing book as far as patience is concerned. We will probably achieve all these things we want. But one thing we need to understand, it will take time.
But then, you see, you're saying that every good thing takes time. And we need to wait and be patient about it. But the landlord will just still tell you that I don't have patience. You have defaulted by 5 days, and last month you were defaulted by 24 days. So how does a young person watching us tonight who feels that I really don't have the time because the society still also doesn't have time for me, so anything that comes, I really quickly want to go in and see whether it can work or not work. How do we tell these people this, that they have to be patient?
Like Jackie said, start where you are. Most of these things sometimes happen because you're looking for a certain dream job. You know, you're looking for the next big thing, looking for a job that earns 100,000 because that's where you dream. That a car that, you know, start where you are. It might not be your dream job. Get basic. It can be as basic as they come, but just get any opportunity you get for those basic jobs. Start where you are.
Start where you are.
Start where you are.
Okay. Kimanik 254 says that in the past 2 weeks, on a Thursday evening, I received such call from a fraudster inviting me for an interview in your station. This is a nice conversation to enlighten Kenyans, youth in search of employment. This I'd love to understand how it ended. Kimanik, I'd love to get in touch with you. We'll be able to find out who actually called you for an interview over here and how it went. I hope you did not pay anything for you to be able to come for that purported interview over here. Now, Jackie, at the end of the day, now, deciding on the next course of action, you know, after you've found out that you've just been defrauded, you've paid money and it is gone, how do you deal with this, or how did you deal with the situation?
I think I'm one person who is not calm. I may describe myself as calm because at first I usually don't like dwelling on the past. You know, I told myself at that particular point, I was telling me there is nothing you can do about that, Jacqueline. Again, I was first of all thankful to God that I hold these very high values, because if I didn't hold so much on my integrity, I would have actually added on to more money in the name of chai. So I really said that we discussed with my mentor, because he's actually the person who was lending me money. And you know, at that particular time, he didn't question. In other times, he's used to questioning things, you know, and he wants to know, like, what are you doing? Why are you asking this money? And you know, he was telling me, like, for the time I've been with you, I mean, I know, like, you cannot be conned in such kind of a dimension. So, like, for me, I really discussed with my mentor. We laughed it off, and he told me, you know what, once bitten, twice shy. Let me not hear things like this.
Like this again.
And I just had to move on.
Yeah. Christine, there are very few young people who would laugh even about such a situation or losing such amounts of money. There would be, some have even gone into depression. That's the only money I had, or that's the only chance I had to be, given a soft loan, and now it is all gone. How do I even start dealing with it? What advice would you tell them?
Any opportunity is an opportunity to learn. It's unfortunate, but like Jackie says, she'd never be caught again. She's been that, she's seen that, she's won that cup, and all is not lost. All is not lost. You'd always have an opportunity to get more, do more. You take it positively. You learn. You might be someone who will help someone else, save someone else from such a situation.
Yeah.
So there's so much ahead in life. There's so much ahead, despite where you are or where you think you have been. I think there's always hope that so much lays ahead.
Yeah.
So such things, you just take them in stride. You take them as learning experiences. Learn from them. Next time you'll be wiser. Who knows? Next time that could be the opportunity you need to become a motivational speaker or something. People get inspiration from such
kind of stories. Yeah. Now, even as we were talking over the last 1.5 hours or so, I believe that there is this elephant that is in the room. We cannot be here smiling, being happy, and just talking about online fraud and assume that there is nothing else that is making us to think differently, behave differently, and that is the state of affairs when it comes to this coronavirus. Christine, from where you sit, I mean, are you scared? How are you feeling about it? Maybe let's use this remaining minutes to just read your thoughts on this.
Am I scared? Not really, but I am a bit now more aware and more cautious.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has just made me more cautious. I'm very keen now on contacts I make, even personal contacts and all that. So I must say, from where I sit, I must say that I'm a bit proud of. I'm actually proud of what I think the government is doing. Quite some drastic, or has otherwise been described, draconian measures are being taken. As you're aware, on our part, the judiciary has decided to scale down. So for the next 2 weeks, there will be no court sittings, save for urgent matters, which will probably be heard in chambers. So there's a lot of measures that are being taken, which others may find a bit too drastic.
Yeah.
But I think those measures are giving me a bit of comfort.
Yeah.
For me, I'm all for, would rather do too much than not do enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm a bit confident in the way I think government is handling this. And I'm a bit proud to
Maybe
say.
explain to us a bit about this court issue. Someone even tweeted and said, so does that mean that if someone makes a mistake, they are not going to appear in court?
So what happens is this: there's a suspension of court. They call this the court proceedings the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So there will be no open court sessions as we've had. So the mentions and the hearings will not proceed. For civil matters, that just means probably later dates will be given. Matters that are urgent, we would have, I think, judges on duty. And so those matters will be heard, but will be heard in chambers. Chambers means in the judge's office, just between the two parties or the parties. So, like whereas everyone else can come to court, this time is just to be restricted to the two parties, for instance, 2 or 3, whoever the parties are, and they'll be heard in chambers. And that's just for urgent applications only. For criminal matters, so prisoners are not going to be brought to court, so there will be no criminal proceedings. If someone is arrested in the next 2 weeks, if it's a serious case, so let's say murder or such cases, then we can. I think there will be special sittings. Those will be considered the urgent ones in the criminal sense. So there will be sittings. For these other matters, the Inspector General of Police is supposed to issue directions on how they will be handled at the police station. So you're able to probably just get bail at the police station, take a plea, for instance, at that stage, and just get if it's a police bail or something, probably then to be given a later date when you can present yourself before court.
Okay.
For the grave ones like the murder and whatnot, then probably those will be able to proceed. But again, no open court sittings.
No open court sittings. Jackie, are you scared?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not scared, and I'm scared that I'm not scared actually.
Yeah.
You know, I just came in and I was trying, I had even forgotten we have corona thing until I tried to greet her and she was like, excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't. That was when it
hit you, yeah.
Yeah, it hit me. And then I just reminded that in the morning, you know, our church is so used to fully packed and people are overflowing.
Just found out that there were few people.
Very few people, and then we are having those hand sanitizers, and then I'm like, wow, so it's that serious.
Yeah.
Okay, for me I'm like, I'm quite spiritual, and I'm like, anybody who is not meant to die, you're not going to die till God decides you can now come.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not scared. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. But today we seem to be handling this via science, based on the kind of instructions that you're being given. You mentioned that you're very spiritual. Does it hurt you that we are, if we're putting it on a scale of between science and spirituality, are you feeling offended that actually this thing, people are pushing it through science more to handle it as opposed to spirituality?
Okay, for me, I feel like they both have to balance it off.
Yeah.
But we cannot refute the fact that there is a superpower somewhere who can handle all these things. For me, I'm feeling like there are some battles that are quite, beyond us. For me, I'm feeling like even this corona thing, it's worldwide. It's something that you really have to go down on your knees and, somewhat cry to God. That's my point of view. But again, we also cannot refute that we are not in heaven. We are on earth, and we have to take those precautions, like the hygiene part of it. Just take those small precautions. But again, remember to call upon the superpower.
Right. Kristen, because at the end of the day, the basic things that we're being told that we need to be doing today is one of the most basic things, like washing your hands. And some of these things we've even seen our kindergarten children coming back home and telling us or showing us, today we were taught how to wash our hands. How is it that today that is what we need to be told? I mean, in our human nature, how do you rate us, looking at it as a point that today is when now people are now really washing their hands like nobody's business?
I must confess, I'm not even one of those people who are have OCD and have to wash my hands all the time. And so, like, there's a joke that's been going on. We thought in 2020 we talk about flying cars, but now we're talking about washing hands. It's something so basic you'd think would be so easy to do, but I think it makes us realize our vulnerability as human beings, our mortality. Just being so aware that, look, that immune, there's not, this is not really something to take for granted. But just, I don't necessarily think that it says too much. I think we got too comfortable. Perhaps out of our experiences, we got comfortable with some things, and now we're just being reminded of basics of washing hands. Like for 20 seconds, with soap. And I, you keep wondering, like, how many times did I keep washing my hands and rushing? And, and for me, those are the things that worry me. Like, it may not be so natural. I told not to touch my face. It's so easy. You only want to check out something in your eye, and you always check out something.
Or an itchy nose somehow.
And now you have to be very cautious about touching your face. And so the basics that we would think are easy to master, especially being adults, and I think I have this. Then this reminds us that we don't have this.
Let's talk about information, because I think information is key here. And the lack of it is one of the things that probably might affect most of us. Today I was, as I said, as we started the show, I was in this taxi with this driver of the Uber, and when I got into the car, he had just had the news of the president declaring that all schools have to be closed, and he had 2 bottles, one of Dettol and another one of spirit, the methylated spirit, and that is his form of hand sanitizer. And he was so scared to a point of even saying that he had no information when he first drove this lady who was wearing the face mask, and he didn't even understand why is this person wearing this thing, to a point where now people are even scared of walking close by anybody who's coughing. Maybe let's start with you, Jackie. What is the biggest misinformation, or what is the information you want to know as far as this virus is concerned, that you think out there people are having wrong perceptions about it?
There is quite a lot I would love to know, because I really still feel like I don't really understand how it is transmitted. Yeah, and if really having those masks can really help it, because I think, yesterday I was walking around town and somebody was selling those masks, and then it came to my realization, if it's something airborne and if it's a virus, and I do expect, or rather think, it's something very tiny, does it mean that you're not breathing, so that now there is no air that is getting in? Because I really was asking a lot of questions, and those are some of the things that I would love to know, like something like how it is transmitted and how I can at least, if not prevent, completely reduce. And then something else, hey, you can't imagine if somebody in Nairobi doesn't have that information, how about the masses in rural areas?
Yeah, we have relatives here in Nairobi who are saying, I'm heading up country, because they are feeling like it's safer to be up country than in town. Christine, what is the biggest misperception you've heard about the virus?
Interestingly, this week, just from Monday, I started looking up information on it. So I was checking the WHO website, I've been checking the situation reports, just getting to know what's happening in different countries, which country is most prone right now, the numbers. Daily I've been monitoring that, and this was before even Friday. So by the time the announcement was being made on Friday, I had done quite some reading on it. Of course, the first misconception is people assume it's airborne. So when I see people asking, where do we get masks? I tell them, look, masks are not going to really help you, because this is not airborne. Okay, so it's masks may maybe come in if somebody's coughing or sneezing around you. But look, masks, they just protect the nose and the mouth, for instance. Your eyes are still exposed. Remember, they've said it's either through the nose, the mouth, or the eyes. So there's, I think, the information that is not clear out there is the transmission. How is it transmitted? They've said it surfaces. The virus is it's transmitted through water droplets. Okay, so it's not the air. It's any droplets of water or liquid from an infected person. So if I cough, then or a sneeze, then the virus is in the droplets coming out from it. It says it will probably touch itself on surfaces. So I sneeze into my hands, then I touch this, then it's now here. So the mask, you see, at this point is not really protecting me from here. If I touch here and maybe touch my eyes.
So this is where now the washing of the hands and sanitizing the hands is
telling people,
important.
look, if we wash our hands as often as possible, that means even if I come in contact with the virus, but I still wash my hands, with the guidelines, 20 seconds, a lot of soap, a lot of water, then I'm still able to protect myself. So it's not really airborne. I think that's the one thing I feel like screaming to everyone. It's not airborne. It's not. It's through contact. Okay. So sorry if I appeared a bit cut by refusing to shake your hand today.
I'm here wondering, because at the end of the day, there is that announcement that work from home where possible, and there is that feeling of could we be heading towards a lockdown as a country, where now you find that you come to office, there's no one at the office. You go to schools, we've now been told all students and children go back at home. Do you see this as something that will be prone to abuse at the workplaces, or would rather let them abuse it and we just stay safe? Christine, because you work at offices.
One thing I can promise you, I'll be at work tomorrow morning, so there's no chance of me working from home. But no, this is the thing. The preferable, like the president said, if possible, let's allow people to work from home. But you see, even if it's not working from home, then the officers should be able to provide certain measures. So, for instance, hand sanitizers should be readily available in offices, so that if or places where somebody can actually wash their hands every so often. So it could be subject to abuse, but I think for most of us, our day-to-day earnings depend on actually being at work. So we may not apply to everyone. But I think what businesses should do is be able to be proactive in protecting their employees and these things that seem basic. Just remind them, wash your hands, use your sanitizers, place them at very strategic places at the entrance, at the entrance to people's cubicles and all that.
Yeah.
Because one thing, if one person gets infected, it doesn't matter if everyone else is not.
Yeah.
That one person is capable of transmitting it to everyone.
Sure.
So even if, working from home may not work for every office, but at least the officers should be proactive in providing sanitizers, places where people can actually wash their hands.
We create that environment for preventive measures.
Preventing, yes.
And if possible, you can even work with the sanitizer.
Yes, please have them. I have mine in my handbag.
So, real quick, I want us to just quickly look at the Jobs Corner, and of course, from that, we'll be able to probably bring down the curtains to tonight's edition of Youth Connect. Let's take a look at the job openings that are available for you this week.
World Vision, one of the prominent NGOs in Kenya, is recruiting staff to work with orphans and vulnerable children. The advertised positions include a Chief of Party, Orphans and Vulnerable Children Manager, Grant Finance Manager, Grant Monitoring Evaluation, Accountability and Learning Advisor, and a Grant Household Economic Strengthening Advisor. Details on what each of these roles entail and how to apply can be found on their website. Applications closed on the 23rd of March 2020. J. Fine Wines is looking forward to expanding their team by adding sales drivers and security guards. The minimum level of education required for these roles is KCSE. The company also has a vacancy for a senior accountant, preferably one with a degree in finance or accounting. The individual should be a certified public accountant with at least 5 years in experience. The organization is also looking for sales representatives. For more details, visit www.jfinewines.co.ke/opportunities. And lastly, the county government of Murang'a is hiring. The county has announced 3 vacancies for administration officers, 3 cooperative officers, 3 community health workers, and 1 radiologist. Details on qualifications and application procedure can be found at the county website. The application deadline is 25th March 2020.
Right, there you have it, and we want to wish you good luck while you actually try your luck in those particular jobs. We do not guarantee that your application will be responded to, but all we're trying to do here is just to give you the information, and how you use it is definitely at your own disposal and own wish. Now, let's take a look at the final comment that has just come through right here from Ronnie_Kute, who says, I was once duped into getting in a pyramid scheme that sold itself as a platform for online jobs and lost 5,000 Kenya shillings in the process. Still regret my decision to date. That experience taught me a lot. These days, I'm very careful with online job applications. Now, that definitely brings us to the end of this particular conversation. But the key question or key concern we're asking ourselves is that while we try to drive matters digital, how do we keep ourselves safe online? This is something that will require your personal initiative in trying to do some more due diligence. That is all I can advise you, because these particular scams will be there, but of course legitimate online jobs will also be there. So how you deal with this will require a lot of diligence or doing due diligence, and I want to wish you all the best as you do this throughout this week and the rest of the lives. To our panelists tonight, thank you so much for making time and being part of the conversation. I want to say thank you to Josephine Ouko for actually being there to translate or interpret this through sign language, and all the teams at the gallery and here in studio. I want to say thank you. Stay safe. Information is key. Do not rely on the fake news that goes around on our online platforms. Research, you can actually Google, you can actually do your own research on the information you need to know about the coronavirus. Don't panic, we will be fine. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe, signing off.
Muundo usio wa kawaida umeonekana ndani ya moyo wa moja ya maeneo ya mjini iliyo bora zaidi na viwandani, bandari ya Rotterdam. Almaarufu The Floating Dam ni majaribio ya uboreshaji ikiwa kilimo kidogo cha maziwa endelevu inawezekana katika mazingira kama haya, mbali na maeneo ya kijani kibichi ya kilimo cha kitamaduni. Mfanyabiashara wa Uholanzi Minke van Wingerden ni mmoja wa watengenezaji wa shamba hilo, ambalo sasa linawakilisha kundi la ng'ombe 32 wa hudhurungi na nyeupe.